Hey guys, it's James here for a quick part 2 on the Blazer. You can probably see it's all knotted back together for the most part. Upper intake manifold, can't really tell, but it is loose. I am missing a bolt right there. And so I'll probably just have to source that out at like a hardware store. It won't be a big issue. What my main hang up is right now is this exhaust manifold. And the hang up on it, because of this exhaust stud, which used to be a little bit longer but broke off while I was getting the manifold out. So how about that? I gotta take this stud off. I tried welding it with the flux core welder, and I'm not very good at welding. And so as you can imagine, the nut just broke the welds and ended up shearing the threads. So I'll have to figure something better out. Worst case scenario, I'm just I have some candle wax, an angle grinder, and a drill, and a bunch of other things, and some vice grips. My main idea would be to notch it with the angle grinder down in there until it actually hits the bolt, and that way it releases tension on the actual threads. I can get some wax in there and heat it up, and do that vice versa a few times, and hopefully I can work it loose with the vice grips and then finally pull that thing out. And then if I really want to, when I put the new stud in, I can just tap up that little, I don't even know what you call it, valley or cut with the welder, and be done with it. Or maybe just some JB weld, and it'll help hold that stud in place, and then heat will definitely hold it in place over time. But my other issue I'm having, sort of solved. I'm gonna have to time this engine, and that's kind of a bitch on these Vortex, because as you can see, that hold down is fixed, so you can't adjust this into perfect timing. You kind of have to just rely on getting your base timing supposedly dead on, but most of the times what happens is people get close enough, it'll start up, and then the ECM will pretty much take over on the timing advance. It'll just advance more or less depending on what their base timing is, just to get it working. And then it runs good enough, most people don't even notice. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to get it timed right, hopefully. Because not having it in time does cause problems, especially with this sensor causing your coil to trigger. And if it's your rotor isn't actually touching one of these when it triggers, it can be close enough to where it's firing, but it's not close enough to where it's actually touching when it triggers. You'll have a lot of arcing happening, and your well, basically it just your cap and rotor will go bad fast, and then sometimes this sensor can go bad, sometimes depending on how the system's set up, and if there's a backfeed of resistance because of that to this sensor. Usually probably not, but I'm just putting it out there. Anyway, I'm ranting. It's just a big deal to get these things in time on these 4.3 Vortex, and some people make it easy and people like myself don't. So we'll have that problem solved one way or another, and hopefully we'll have that problem solved one way or another. But as engine wise, that's probably about the only real two issues until we go to start it, and then we'll probably find more. But we can also reoccur the actual issues of the truck. And it pretty much comes down to 3 main things plus that fourth last thing that could be done is the brakes. They're alright, but they're also looking a little cruddy. If you want this to be a daily driver, here's the brake line down there for that passenger side. It don't look too bad, but in some spots it definitely looks like it's only got a year or two left. So that's probably about the 4-ish problem. The other minor problem would be 4-wheel drive, which I believe is this hose right here. Get you a close look. It's all dry ride. That whole hose is, I imagine, all the way down to the transfer case. But the 4-wheel drive is actuated by a vacuum actuator, or a vacuum switch right there. Electronic vacuum switch, which is controlled by there you go, that little electronic actuator right there. So that's our second minor problem. Our 2 major problems would be the 2 bad tires on this side, and also at least the front uppers. I'm not sure how the front lowers are looking, but you might be able to see there. I don't really have a way to light it up, but those bushings are shot on the upper control arms on both sides. So something's gonna have to be done about that. This fan's gonna be driven on the road. And that'll definitely also help with alignment and sway for the steering. Other than that, I think it's just about buttoning this thing up, which we are getting closer on. We're actually on the buttoning up side versus last video we were on the teardown side. And we probably have about $100 more, if even, invested into his truck compared to the last time. So yeah, I don't think that's really bad at all. Stay tuned, and catch you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.